That will include Manchester United, but Marcus Rashford is obviously current news.
Yeah.
He's going to go to Aston Villa on loan. How do you feel about that?
A number of emotions. I think tinge of sadness thinking of Marcus Rashford, an 8-9-year-old Manchester United academy player, given a big contract a couple of years ago, having scored 30 goals and being sort of right at the top of his game on and off the pitch. And then obviously the deterioration in the last couple of years have been alarming, to the point now whereby, I mean, it's an absolute must that he has to get out of Manchester United and Old Trafford. And I feel sad saying that. I never thought that a few weeks ago, let alone months ago. I thought when Ruben Amorim came in, we would see the not resurgence of re-emergence of Marcus Rashford, but I thought we'd see sort of like a clean slate. It's got 10 times worse under Ruben Amorim for Marcus Rashford than it was under Erik ten Hag, in the sense that some of the things that have been said by his manager have been absolutely brutal, and he's only been with him 5 or 6 weeks and they're a stain on his character. So he needs to get out, he needs the freedom away from Old Trafford, he needs to spend time at another club. And in terms of his move, he's going to a team that are far better than Manchester United at this moment in time. I mean, I watched the United game earlier, it didn't surprise me, it was awful. But he's going to a far better football team that are in the Champions League, that are in the FA Cup, that are in with a shout of getting into the Champions League again. And the most important thing for me is that I think he'll be playing under a world-class coach. That's the most important thing. And I think what Marcus Rashford needs at this moment in time is instruction. Ordinarily you might say, I want to go out on the pitch, son, and enjoy it. That's not Unai Emery. It's not what Marcus Rashford needs. He needs real instruction and direction and discipline in his game. This is where I want you when the ball's here. This is where I want you when the ball's over this side. This is when I want you to run forward. This is how you link. This is how you play. And he's going to have 4 or 5 months of one of the best coaches in Europe to work with. Any distraction that he may have needs to go. Any sort of fallout that he may have with Manchester United and thoughts about what's happened at the club need to go. He needs to just go and play football and enjoy playing football in a really good team, a great club with a fantastic manager, and they're the big pluses, because he's going to a better team, a better group of players and a better coach at this moment in time. That's not being critical of Ruben Amorim, but Unai Emery is one of the very best, and I think that's really important. So it might not be the sort of sexy move that maybe many thought could happen, maybe Barcelona was mentioned at one point, but it's a really good solid move for him. And what he now needs to go and do is not necessarily go and prove Manchester United wrong, but if he goes and scores 8 to 10 goals in the last 15-16 games of the season, and he does well for Aston Villa, you're now starting then to look at Old Trafford again, with the fact that McTominay's left and excelled, and Sancho's gone to Chelsea and he's doing a lot better than he was at Old Trafford. He's starting to now look at the fact that is Old Trafford the problem? We know it has been a problem for players, but this would be further evidence of it. So, it's going to be a case of this is going to play out in the next few months of Marcus Rashford's left Old Trafford, all of a sudden he's fantastic again, or Marcus Rashford is the problem because he can't play football very well at Aston Villa. There'll be nothing in between, and there's a lot to be said. Look, he's had an enormous amount of coverage in the last few months, Marcus Rashford, in the last couple of years. But when you're taking on the government and achieving the things that he did all those years ago, when you're scoring 30 goals in a season for the most famous club in the world, the most written about club in the world, when you're getting the big bucks and you're getting the 5-year deal on huge money, it also comes with the huge criticism, the huge scrutiny. You can't escape that. And I've said this before, this happened with all the great players that have played at United and at other clubs as well. Like Mbappe now at Real Madrid, he's got the spotlight heavily on him all the time because he's signed for one of the greatest clubs, or one of the greatest clubs in the world and greatest clubs in Spain, and the scrutiny is higher than it will have been in Paris. So the fact of the matter is, there is an element of Marcus now just enjoying his football. I really want him to succeed at Aston Villa. I want him to go and score a ton of goals for them. I want him to get that smile back on his face and love his football again. We just talked about Lewis Skelly, haven't we? And how enjoyable it is to watch him. You watch Marcus in this last year or two and it's just not looked like it was enjoyable. It's looked like it was a chore. And football can't be like that. You know what I mean? Those dreams that you have as a kid to play football at the highest level, and all of a sudden it just fades away like you wouldn't believe. And it's just, no, get that back, get that love and that hunger and that fight and that enjoyment back in your game. And then let's hope he can do really well for Aston Villa. Let's hope he can do really well for himself, because that works actually for Marcus Rashford, and it also works for United in that they'll probably then either decide they want to sell him in the summer, which I think would be a shame, or they can sell him somewhere else. So look, I think it's the right move for both parties, and I think it's the right move in the sense that if he went to Barcelona, you'd be sort of, there'd be a lot of glare and a lot of it. I think he's going to a solid dressing room, a solid club, a fantastic manager, and I think that's what he needs now, solid people around him.
Well, really good luck to